I'm sure many of you at one point have wondered to yourself what the future of MMORPGs would look like. Funnily enough, this is something I would think about constantly in the mid-2000s when games like RuneScape and WoW were at their peaks, and the genre as a whole was exploding in popularity. MMORPGs were at one point the hype genre. Everyone wanted to make an MMO, and so many were releasing that it was hard to keep up. Back then, I'd say to myself, if MMOs are this amazing now, can you imagine how incredible they'll be in 10 to 20 years time? Fast forward 20 years and that's quite a funny statement to look back on. My favourite MMOs are still RuneScape and World of Warcraft. We've had a few interesting releases that come out and caught my attention for a while, such as BDO, New World and Lost Ark, but nothing life-changing. If I was to go back in time and tell pre-teen Peon that he'll still be playing RuneScape in 2024, then he wouldn't believe me. But that begs the question, what does the future of MMOs actually look like? Surely we're not going to look back on this video in another 10 to 20 years and still have WoW, Final Fantasy XIV and RuneScape dominating the genre decades later. But first, today's sponsor, Ragnarok Origin, a free-to-play MMORPG available on mobile and PC, and the official sequel to the beloved Ragnarok Online. The highly anticipated Awakening update for Ragnarok Origin is finally here, and it's packed with epic new content. First up, we've got the third job change, where iconic classes like the Lord Knight and High Priest ascend to become even more powerful Rune Knights and Archbishops. Imagine wielding the might of dragons or channeling divine power. The possibilities are endless. But that's not all. The Awakening update also brings exciting new events like the Clash of Chaos, where you'll face off against fearsome demon lords, and the Pouring Deck, where you'll test your luck for amazing rewards. Plus, you can now build your very own airship and sail the skies with your loyal pet crew. And for those of you in Latin America, Ragnarok Origin is now fully localized in Brazilian, Portuguese, Latin Spanish and American English. So no matter where you are, you can now experience the magic of this beloved franchise. So what are you waiting for? Download Ragnarok Origin today and dive into the Awakening update, unleash your true potential, explore new challenges, and create unforgettable memories in the world of Midgard. So, the future of MMOs, how will the genre look 10 to 20 years from now in, say, 2035 to 2045? Will things change much at all? Obviously, this entire video is just a fun discussion and is entirely subjective, but I think MMOs will be completely different 10 to 20 years from now for one simple but major reason. Artificial intelligence. In the past 2 years, we've seen AI progress at such a rapid rate and completely transform multiple industries that I find it hard to believe it won't continue to evolve and have a much greater effect on the gaming industry than what it's already had. For MMOs in particular, these are games that take years to make and are seen as a highly risky endeavour to take on for any developer. However, what if AI progressed to the point where it became so intelligent that entire games could be coded by AI simply via prompts? Similar to how you can prompt AI to basically create any art image you can think of, imagine being able to do a prompt like this. Create me a high fantasy world in the same style as World of Warcraft, use Unreal Engine 7, high fidelity graphics, generate me 100 unique quests with interconnected storylines, and make the gameplay similar to Black Desert Online whilst keeping the traditional WoW archetypes. Even as I'm writing this, I can already imagine how scuffed this prompt would be if attempted by the AI of today. The animations would be trash, the visuals would likely be inconsistent, and it's probably going to be unplayable. But let's just imagine that AI can reach a point where it could generate a quality game from that simple prompt alone. At the rate things have been progressing, it's certainly within the realm of possibility, and at that point, then what? The biggest hurdle of MMO development would have been eliminated. With the help of AI, MMO devs could potentially create content at a faster rate than the player base could consume it. MMOs could be created within a reasonable time span, thus leading more developers to make games in the genre. Fuck it, let's go even further. Imagine 50 to 100 years from now. AI becomes so advanced that it can create better MMOs than any human could. We then tell the AI to populate this MMO with other AI players, so lifelike that you wouldn't be able to tell that it's not a real person. The future of MMOs could, in reality, be single player with lifelike bots. which the more I think about becomes a little bit too dystopian for my liking. I actually think the first major way AI will be used in MMOs is to create lifelike bots to keep old MMOs feeling alive. If you genuinely can't tell the difference, then this would actually have a positive overall experience to the player, so long as it's the developers who are in control of these bots. RuneScape is an MMO that basically already has this, although it's not done by the devs for the purpose of populating the game. RuneScape for the past 20 years has been one of the most botted MMOs, mostly due to the grindy nature of the game, as well as its massive gold selling industry. RuneScape bots, with the help of AI, have advanced to the point of being able to talk and respond to other players to avoid detection, and it's not just simple tasks the bots are doing now either. I recently watched a video of Odablock, who's probably the best PvP player in RuneScape, fighting against an undefeated PvP bot. The bot actually beat him in the first fight until Oda figured out its weakness and beat it 2-1. So when it comes to gameplay, we're probably already at the point where AI and bots are already capable of easily playing at the same level or better than your average MMO player. So AI being used to simulate real players in dead games to keep them feeling alive is one positive for the future of MMOs, but this also brings with it a big challenge for developers. If human-like bots, indistinguishable from a real person, become widely available, can you imagine the impact this will have on the RMT gold selling industry? Gold sellers could avoid bans much easier, they could use AI to code the bots to a point where there's no obvious patterns, and the cost to run these operations would become lower and lower with less need to hire human workers. So that's my first major prediction. AI will make the creation of MMOs much cheaper, smaller dev teams will be able to feasibly make an MMO within a decent time frame, AI will help with art assets, programming, procedural generation, music, and so on, game studios will be hiring prompt engineers, and MMOs could get to a point where content is being developed faster than players can consume it. MMOs, especially those with dwindling populations, will use AI to simulate other players in the world. They'll hide or fabricate their actual player numbers to avoid the MMO death spiral, where players quit a game just because it's perceived to be a dead game. Within the next 5 to 10 years, I think it will be common practice to be able to clear all dungeons and raids in MMOs by queuing with NPCs that simulate average players on multiple levels of difficulty, and as a result, MMOs will trend to be more like single-player shared world experiences rather than something that require genuine social interactions between players. Another trend I think we'll start to see more of in the coming years is an increasing number of MMOs that offer some kind of single-player challenge mode or Iron Man mode. The reason I think this is that a lot of players are sick of pay to win and having their accomplishments devalued. As a result, it's becoming popular to create characters with self-imposed restrictions. RuneScape's Iron Man mode and WoW's Classic Hardcore are good examples of this, and it makes for interesting content. Some MMOs though might straight up just go single player or 3 to 4 player co-op. We've seen this recently with Wayfinder. It started out as an MMO, it didn't do too well, they completely reworked the game to make it single player with optional co-op, and the game seems to be doing better as a result. So perhaps in the future, instead of an MMO straight up shutting down its servers when it's at end of life, the devs just rework the game into a single player experience, then resell it as a buy-to-play game. Not only would this be good from a business perspective, but it would also be good for game preservation. How about business models? What does the future hold for pay-to-win? Unfortunately, I can't really see pay-to-win going anywhere in the next 20 years, and it could potentially get even worse and more normalised with younger generations of gamers who wouldn't be able to remember a time before pay-to-win. That being said, if MMOs do become easier to create, then there is the potential that a more competitive market could result in less pay-to-win in some cases. What I think is most likely is that more MMOs will simply restrict player-to-player trading under the guise of fighting RMT, then directly sell gold to players on the cash shop either via some currency conversion mechanism or a WoW token style system. Of course, I could be completely off base with my predictions. Perhaps the future of MMOs looks more similar to something like the movie Ready Player One, which is set in the year 2045. In a future like that, I suppose cheating or rule breaking in MMOs would be a thing of the past, as I'd imagine at that point your online gaming accounts would be tied to your real life identity, kinda like how it is in South Korea today, with MMO accounts requiring a Korean social security number to set up. I remember when I first watched the anime Sword Art Online, and the idea of a full dive immersive world had me super excited. Funnily enough, that anime was set in the year 2022, so the writers were clearly a little bit too optimistic about the speed technology would progress. Either way, I just hope we get full dive MMO tech before I'm an old man and I can't move around like I used to. Maybe in real life we'd be old, slow and fragile, but in the Oasis we could basically be ageless. It's a fun topic to think about, although slightly scary at the same time. In the near future, the next 10 years or so, I think we'll get one more generation of MMOs before we really see AI start to take over. We'll see games like Ashes of Creation, the Riot MMO, Arcade 2 and a few other big releases come out, but after that I think the following generation would be AI driven, and kinda unrecognisable from what we have today. This was a fun video to make and I really do enjoy thinking and speculating about the future. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what the future of MMOs might bring in the comments below. Are you optimistic about the future? Pessimistic? Do you think AI will be good or bad for gaming? If you enjoyed the vid, then help us out with a like for the algorithm, social media on screen, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.